This week on Money Matters, fresh concerns are on the rise, especially in emerging economies, that trouble may be brewing in the global financial market. Will things erupt in September? Pay on the way. Samsung rolls out its mobile payment services, igniting a fierce battle in the e-wallet market. Mobile money in numbers. And there's an insatiable appetite for Korea's instant noodles, ramyeon. Over the decades, the market has seen many twists and turns in flavors and ideas. What stories matter in Asia? We'll look at the changing landscape of business in Korea and the rest of Asia on Money Matters. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Il-sun. Thanks for joining us once again. The week opened with stocks across Asia crumbling after a seesaw market in China last week. Oil prices have been dipping to fresh lows, along with other commodities. With all these risk factors still in play, we'll get a look at other stories from the week with the Somi Sorang.
Thank you, Il-sun. I'll start you off with some of the top headlines from around Asia. South and North Korea have reached an agreement to reduce tensions on the Korean peninsula after marathon talks that stretched over the course of 4 days. This was following an exchange of artillery fire with North Korea last Thursday, which triggered a tumble in Seoul stocks the following day. This, coupled with jitters across Asia at the opening of the week, caused the main bourse Kospi to slide 2.5%, recording a 6th consecutive loss since cross-border tensions erupted and hitting the lowest level since July 2013. The won posted its weakest close in 5 years, briefly trading beyond the psychologically important 1,200 won mark just before inter-Korean talks concluded. Commodities continue to plunge over uncertainties stemming from China and again in the US dollar, reducing prices to levels seen during the global financial crisis. Stock markets in Saudi Arabia and Dubai slid by 7% on Sunday, the opening day for trade. This came after Brent crude dropped to $45 per barrel on Friday, while U.S. crude fell to $40. Data from Bloomberg show that raw materials have erased over $2 trillion in stock values from mining and oil companies since mid-2014, a figure that's on par with India's GDP. It said years of overinvestment has led to a supply glut, while growth slows in China. Samsung Electronics has rolled out its latest phablet models in Korea last week, the Galaxy Note 5 and Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Both handsets come with rounded edges, wireless charging, and lower prices. The launch comes a couple of weeks ahead of schedule, as Samsung is looking to get a head start on Apple's iPhone 6s, expected to be unveiled next month. The tech giant has also given its more affordable smartphone lineup a boost as well, as it tries to preserve its global market share, which is increasingly challenged by Apple and Chinese manufacturers. And Korea's Hyundai Kia Motors have stepped up home production, adding on to the largest number of vehicles built within the country over a decade compared to other global car makers. According to Korea Automobile Manufacturers Association, domestic car production by the auto group was at 3.6 million units last year, up roughly 900,000 since 2004. Home production also grew at the fastest rate, at around 34%, exceeding the industry average of 8 global automakers that was at minus 15%. Experts say greater home manufacturing is a signal of the automakers' growing contribution to the local economy.
Around the world, countries have started off the week with a market carnage after Black Monday clobbered Chinese bourses. The massive global sell-off now seen in developed economies is raising questions of whether a new crisis is in the making. With a U.S. rate hike soon expected to enter the picture, some say trouble is brewing.
Wait a minute, what am I looking at?
This figure here.
Whoa, $1 trillion of paper.
A movie from 2011 is set back in September of 2008, at the height of the global financial crisis.
No, you mean you.
Concerns are there may be another crisis in the making that may unravel in September. Where are these signs coming from, and just how much trouble is brewing?
2008년부터
세계 경제는 3대 위기를 맞이했는데요. 첫 번째 위기가 2008년 미국발 금융 위기였습니다. 두 번째 위기는 유럽의 재정 위기였는데 세 번째 위기가 최근에 부상한 중국 경제 불안인데요. 이 불안 때문에 세계 경제가 장기 침체 수렁에 빠지고 있습니다.
Already, the world economy has been struggling with a number of variables that have been back down growth. The Greece still floundering, the European economy is also on edge with conditions showing few signs of improvement. Japan's economy contracted in the second quarter, fueling worries its weak yen may not be pulling growth through. Exports have also been slowing despite the cheap local currency. And experts point out Tokyo's Abenomics may be losing steam. Things are not much better in Latin America. Venezuela has been hit by massive inflation, reducing its currency to the value of a napkin. The world's emerging economies are also on shaky ground. The greatest country of concern is China. It looks increasingly unlikely the country will reach its target of 7% growth this year. And sudden movements such as the yuan devaluation are stirring up more worries. Just as the subprime mortgage crisis in the US is considered to have set off the global financial crisis back in 2008, industry watchers believe the shock stemming from China's markets may have the same effect on the global economy.
아시아 경제 같은 경우는 중국과 무역 의존도가 높고요. 중국의 성장률이 1% 하락하면 아시아 경제는 0.3%포인트 떨어지게 됩니다. 특히 우리나라는 대중국과 관련된 무역 의존도가 무려 25.5%에 달하고요. 중국 수출 의존도가 GDP의 10%에 달합니다. 이렇기 때문에 위엔화가 1% 절하될 때마다 우리나라 그 비용, 수출 비용은 1% 높게 되는데요.
Korea's markets have been struggling in the recent weeks with the concerns growing over a U.S. rate hike and instabilities from China. The timing of a Fed rate hike is considered crucial not only for Seoul, but also for many other emerging economies. Following the global financial crisis, Washington has long kept its federal funds rate at the 0% level. But with more indicators showing its economy is getting back on track, it has signaled the rate hike will come sooner than later. Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis President James Bullard said the U.S. economy is much closer to being normal compared to 5 years ago. He also said there is over a 50% chance the rate liftoff will come in September.
미국은 이제 세계 최대 자본 국가입니다. 게다가 이제 세계 각국에 미국의 돈이 이제 투자가 된 상태이고, 그런 상태에서 미국이 금리를 올린다는 것은 미국이 이제 달러에 대한 이제 이자를 많이 준다는 그러한 의미인 것이거든요. 일순간에 미국 자금들이 다 신흥국에서 빠져나가게 될 경우에는 투자 자금들이 일시에 말라버리게 되는, 그렇게 되면 신흥국의 경제 자체가 마비가 되는 그러한 이제 효과를 가져오게 됩니다.
Once the Fed pushes up its interest rates, a stronger dollar is likely to drain capital from emerging markets, putting countries like Korea and others at greater risk.
중국의 위안화 절하, 그리고 금융시장 불안, 이것 때문에 우리나라 증권시장도 함께 가라앉는 그런 현상이 생기고 있다 하는 얘기인데, 금융의 연쇄 위기가 나타날 수 있다는 겁니다. 이 와중에 미국이 기준금리를 인상해서 우리나라에 들어와 있던 외국자금이 빠져나간다라고 했을 때는 중국 때문에 실물 경제가 타격을 받고 미국 때문에 금융시장이 흔들리면서 우리 경제는 상당한 위험을 부담할 가능성이 있죠.
A devalued yuan coupled with a rate liftoff from the Federal Reserve could pose massive threats to Korea's financial markets and trade. This is why industry watchers are looking at the month of September with greater vigilance, as it may dictate the path of growth for the economy. Korea's dependence on external factors in the global economy often puts it in a position of greater uncertainty. But while aware of those looming changes on the global stage, Seoul's financial authorities are trying to stem those concerns by stepping up monitoring and devising more long-term plans to boost competitiveness.
Now, in the world of smartphones, everything seems to have become accessible with just a swipe of a finger. And amongst those conveniences brought to us by smartphones, mobile payments are becoming more and more popular by the day. So today's numbers, we'll be looking at mobile payments and some of the options you'll see on the market today. Now, recently, Samsung Electronics launched Samsung Pay in Korea, its mobile payment system available on the new Note 5 and Galaxy S6, further sparking competition in the e-wallet market. But besides Samsung, there are a few other players in the mobile payment market, a market expected to grow to $1 trillion over the next 2 years. Now, some of the other options include Naver Pay, Apple Pay, Kakao Pay, PayNow, Alipay, and PayPal. Just a few of the big names you might recognize that all offer contactless payment. Now, there's a wide range of use for mobile payments, and with more opportunities to use these easy payments, there are more companies offering their services. Now, looking at just the domestic market, there are over 15 different options. But the mobile payment service leaders, of course, are Samsung Pay, Naver's Naver Pay, Daum Kakao's Kakao Pay, and LG U+'s PayNow. Now, late last year, Daum Kakao launched Kakao Pay, and next month, on the 28th, Samsung has announced plans to launch Samsung Pay in the US. But one thing that has put Samsung Pay ahead of its competitors, including Apple Pay, is the introduction of MST, or Magnetic Secure Transmission technology. So while most services utilize NFC, or near-field communication, to transmit information, which also means NFC equipment is necessary to receive the information, Samsung Pay has harnessed NFC and MSF, meaning Samsung Pay can be used anywhere, including existing credit card machines. And now let's look at the global market. Back in September last year, Apple launched Apple Pay in the US, and it quickly became the largest mobile payment system with over 1 million accounts registered in just 3 days. And just last month, Apple Pay was rolled out in the UK. But there's also eBay's PayPal, Google's Google Wallet, and China's largest retailer Alibaba's Alipay, which boasts over 300 million shoppers within China. But amongst these brands, Apple Pay is expected to create the biggest splash, boasting fingerprint security when paying via smartphone, creating a system that is considered much safer than using an actual credit card. Now, one thing is for sure, the global mobile payment market is significantly growing. Now, according to recent data by Statista, in 2010, global mobile payment transactions only accounted for $52.9 billion. But just last year, that amount clocked in at just over $325 billion. And in 2017, it's estimated to be worth $721.4 billion. Well, that wraps up today's In Numbers. Stick around for some new insight on Korea's economy.
Trends in business evolve rapidly. By the day, we have some of the most interesting stories lined up from around the world. Let's get a close look at what they are.
Emerging market economies have seen an exodus of capital, amounting to over $1 trillion over the past 13 months, nearly double the amount recorded during the global financial crisis, according to the Financial Times. The outflow of capital reinforces concerns that emerging economies are suffering from slowing growth worldwide, China's yuan devaluation, and jitters over a U.S. rate hike. The massive outflow has dragged down local currencies, and a strong dollar has battered down commodity prices. Concerns are a setback in emerging markets may further drag down growth for the global economy. To sell or not to sell? That is a question surrounding the market for gold these days. With economic uncertainties and a slowing economy in China, many are turning to other means of investment, including gold. But gold hasn't exactly been seeing its best days. In fact, the yellow metal was trading at $1,118 an ounce earlier this month, compared to $1,310 an ounce this time last year. So many are questioning whether to hold on to their gold, as some predict prices will drop further. But others expect the prices to soon go up, in response to the sudden flood of investors. Legendary hedge fund manager Stanley Druckenmiller recently made a huge investment in gold, ending the second quarter with 2.88 million shares of SPDR Gold Trust. George Soros, another legendary investor, was reported to have recently shifted his support towards U.S. gold mining companies. These tycoons seem to have confidence in gold and its future. China has a new wealthiest man on the throne. The position was most recently held by online retail giant Alibaba's founder Jack Ma, but now entertainment and property magnate Wang Jialin, who's also behind Chinese conglomerate Wanda Group, has taken the crown. Shanghai-based Hurun Research Institute revealed the new results just last week and showed Jack Ma, now in third, and Wang Jialin on top. His total worth is estimated to be $42.6 billion. For the first time, those living outside mainland China were considered for the list, and Hong Kong tycoon Li Ka-shing claimed second place with an estimated worth of $32.8 billion. Wanda Group was started by Wang in 1988 with just $80,000 but is now considered China's biggest property developer. The group owns shopping malls, theaters, hotels, and luxury properties across the country. On the other hand, Alibaba has seen a continual decline in sales. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been creating waves since taking office in May of last year. After rallying up a considerable amount of investment by visiting countries around the world, Modi recently addressed the nation on India's 69th Independence Day, announcing his plans to push the startup front. He believes through startups, India can create millions of new jobs and add hundreds of billions of rupees to the Indian economy. Everything from textiles, leather, and the food and beverage industry could be boosted by Modi's new entrepreneurship ideas, and this is seen as one of the pillars to build India's future. Modi even used the phrase "Startup India, Stand Up India" when addressing the nation, telling the country that it can soon be on the top of the startup industry within Asia. This year's Korea Grand Sale started earlier, and it's bigger than ever before. The recent MERS outbreak took a huge toll on Korea's tourism industry, and in an attempt to revitalize the sector, the annual Korea Grand Sale kicked off earlier this month and will continue until October 31st. The event not only offers discounts at over 30,000 outlets across the nation, but also comes with steep cuts on cultural activities as well. Hotels and airlines also advertise enticing deals attracting tourists from around the world. The Grand Sale was created to kickstart the Korean tourism industry and has proven to be very successful in bringing in visitors. In just 4 years, there's been a 12-fold increase in sales as more foreigners flock to Korea to go shopping, experience Hallyu, and get a taste of Korea's culture. That wraps up this week's Bits and Biz. Stay tuned for more stories regarding Korea and the rest of the economy throughout Asia.
One of the most popular foods in Korea last year was instant noodles called ramyeon. A survey indicates more than half of Koreans eat ramyeon at least once a week. It's been over 5 decades since these noodles were first introduced to the public. And Seong-Min is here to tell us more.
That's right. Now, these noodles, they go by similar names in Asia. Ramyeon in China, ramen in Japan, and ramyeon in Korea. The dish has its roots in China, where locals ate flour noodles cooked in beef broth. Later, the Japanese invented instant noodles, which were then adapted into the Korean ramyeon that we know today. Nowadays, ramyeon is not just a popular alternative meal for Koreans, but for many around the world.
네. 일주일에 라면을 몇 번 정도 드세요?
일주일에 한 2번 정도만.
2번 정도?
예.
언제 제일 땡기세요, 라면이?
밥 먹고 자기 전에.
한 3번은 먹는 것 같아요. 3번. 아무도 없을 때 혼자서 한 점심쯤에 끓여 먹는 라면이 맛있지 않나.
간편해서 일단 간편한 게 큰 것 같아요.
제2의 주식이랄까? 가장 간편하고 그리고 가장 쉽게 접할 수 있는 완전한 식품이라고 생각을 하고 있어요.
Cheap and easy to prepare, instant noodles are enormously popular across Asia and have evolved to suit different palates in each country. The invention of these instant noodles was also acknowledged by the British Council as being one of the 80 moments that shaped the world.
each year, more than 100 billion servings of instant noodles are consumed around the world. With the expansion of this market, Korea recently held its first expo on all things ramyeon. Some 20,000 people visited during the 3-day event, giving businesses a chance to market their products to local consumers and foreign buyers.
대한민국 라면 박람회는 현대인의 기호식품으로 자리 잡은 라면을 재조명하고 또 이슈화하면서 그런 라면에 대한 어떤 신문화로 정착하고자 하는 취지가 담겨 있는 행사입니다. 대표 기업들과 소통할 수 있는 또 직접 만나면서 어떤 프로모션을 통해 라면에 대해서 또 한 번 인식할 수 있는 이런 좋은 자리를 마련하고 있습니다.
Korea's first instant noodles was Hamyang Ramyeon, which came out in 1963. At the time, the government hosted a nationwide campaign to save rice by encouraging people to mix it with other grains or replace it with flour-based goods, and this movement played a big part in popularizing instant noodles.
Ramyeon was developed in Japan roughly 6 decades ago, and it was first introduced in Korea over 50 years ago. In that half a century, ramyeon's become one of the most loved snacks and meals, and a recent study shows that Koreans consume more ramyeon than anyone else in the world, at around 74 servings per person annually. This is roughly double that consumed by Japanese and Chinese, so it's no surprise that the Korean ramyeon market has seen explosive growth over the years.
There are around 200 varieties of ramyeon available in Korea. Most of them are from the 4 major brands, Yongsim, 오뚜기, 삼양, and 팔도. Looking back on how the market evolved, the 80s is considered the ramyeon renaissance because many brands that remain popular to this day, such as 신라면, 너구리, 팔도 비빔면, and 짜파게티 were launched during this period. From 2000 onwards, manufacturers rolled out premium varieties to lure in health-conscious consumers. In recent years, trends have been changing more rapidly. In 2011, the latest craze was noodles with white broth. Last year, it was fiery hot noodles. And this summer, the keyword is jjajangramyeon, made from black bean paste. Especially in the case of jawang, it has surpassed the $18 million mark in sales within the first 2 months of its launch. With the growth of the market, it has come to include more fields of production. Small and mid-sized companies have been rolling out add-ons for ramyeon to diversify tastes. Also, franchise restaurants specializing in ramyeon have seen rapid expansion, as well as vending machine businesses that pop out instant noodles.
봉지하고 용기를 따로 해서 이제 본인이 직접 셀프 조리를 할 수 있도록 뭐 생생면이 됐든 그냥 일반 저희들이 국내에서 시판되는 봉지 라면이 됐든 어떤 라면이라도 그 최적의 조리 시간을 맞춰서 저희들이 세팅을 다 해드릴 수가 있어요.
Noodles usually come in 2 types, packets and cups. After 컵라면 was introduced in the 70s, these noodles became a simple meal to enjoy on the go, helping the Korean noodle market expand rapidly and surpass the $1.7 billion mark in 2013. But with the recent surge in other types of simple meals and snacks, the market has been slowing down, prompting some manufacturers to turn to overseas markets.
Korean ramyeon is now enjoyed in over 100 countries, with total outbound shipments surpassing the $210 million mark last year. The main destinations are the US, Japan, China, and Russia. Meanwhile, 오뚜기's cheese 볶기 is a local favorite in Hong Kong, with exports to the region reaching $4.5 million. In Russia, 팔도 도시락 accounts for nearly 60% of the 컵라면 market. Led by the popularity of 신라면, Yongsim recorded sales of $180 million in China alone. The popularity of Korean ramen can be seen on YouTube. 불닭볶음면, roughly translated to fire chicken fried noodle, is famous for its over-the-top spiciness, and this has sparked a chain of videos of those brave enough to give it a go.
2000년대 이후로는 라면에도 건강이라는 그런 개념까지도 같이 생각을 하시는 것 같습니다. 그래서 영양 설계를 한다 그러는데요. 잘 설계를 해서 제품 개발을 하는 그런 방향으로 저희가 점점 발전해 나가고 있습니다. 앞으로는 우리 한류를 대표하는 식품 한류의 대표 주자로서 전 세계에 펼쳐나갈 것이라고 추측을 하고 있습니다.
So, how did Korean ramyeon become so popular, not only in Korea, but overseas?
Well, I guess like many other successful food exports, the key was in tweaking the recipe ever so slightly to suit local taste. But some products were surprise hits because of its packaging. 팔도 도시락, for example, comes in a rectangular container as opposed to the common bowl shapes of other cup ramyeon. And this made it popular among Russians who often have to go on long train and boat trips because the rectangular containers are easier to carry in backpacks and also less likely to spill. And there are also types that come with mayonnaise packs, which is a popular option among Russian consumers.
Well, Ms. Arirang, I see in your report that the ramyeon exports have been growing steadily, but last year I see a slight drop. What was the reason behind it?
Well, the main reason is that exports to Japan, which used to be the largest market for Korean ramyeon, exports there have been falling since 2012, which many analysts say is related to the strained ties between the two countries. But at the same time, outbound shipments to China and Southeast Asian countries have been on the rise, so hopefully we'll see overall exports bounce back up.
Well, over the years, it looks like ramyeon has managed to carve out a special section for itself. And it looks like we're going to see more continuing creative efforts to see the market growing. Thank you, Ms. Arirang.
My pleasure.
That's all we have on Money Matters. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll bring you plenty of stories as they unfold in Asia and give you a view of the changing landscape of business in the region. I'm Kim Il-sun. Thanks for watching.